Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. So, today we are going to discuss a very important and extremely significant topic. So, this is related to food. Now, food affects everything. It's like your health, it's your relationships, it's politics, it's peace, it's your digestion, it's your health. Everything comes near and around food. But to help us with the health related to food, we have something called a bhojanam vidhi mantras, which help in living our life in a very systematic and a simple manner. So let's begin our discussion today. Again, we have with us an art of living expert and an officer of the Vedic Dharma Sansan. So we are going to discuss in depth about all the food mantras and the bhojanam vidhis, which we should incorporate in our day-to-day life and which can be applied everywhere, be it a restaurant, be it your own kitchen, be it having a meal with your parents, be it in the Art of Living International Center in Bengaluru or the various outlets near Art of Living centers or any dining outlet all over India or all over the world or even beyond. So let us discuss this scientifically. So let's begin. So what is the meaning of Annadata Sukhi Baba and how can it help resolve food related conflicts in a spiritual organization? Now, the Annadata Sukhi Baba translates to may the provider of food be happy. In the Art of Living Upanayanam program, this mantra is not only a blessing but also a principle. Every person who prepares or serves food, be it kitchen staff, volunteers, or even devotees, should be honored and mentally supported. When this mantra is recited before meals or while serving, it creates a positive vibrations around the act of providing food, ensuring that the person serving feels appreciated, reducing resentment or internal politics. In organizations, especially large spiritual institutions, conflicts often arise due to perceived favoritism in food distribution. By consistently applying this mantra, the energy shifts from scarcity and competition to gratitude and abundance, emphasizing that food is a right for all participants. On a practical level, kitchen workers feel respected, participants eat without fear of exclusion, and teachers can demonstrate equality over time. Regular practice builds a culture where food politics naturally diminishes, aligning the community with the principle of seva with love, not power. Now, Om Sehna Bhavatu. How does Om Sehna Bhavatu support harmony during communal meals? There, the mantra Om Sehna Bhavatu means may we be protected together, may we enjoy harmony in learning and service. In Puchanam Vidhi, reciting this mantra before eating helps participants cultivate mutual respect and patience. It reminds everyone, students, teachers, and volunteers, that the meal is not a privilege but a shared spiritual experience. Food politics often emerges from fear or competition, such as denying meals to someone. By invoking this mantra, a conscious mental shield is created, reducing negative emotions like jealousy or control. Psychologically, it encourages inclusivity and collaboration. Spiritually, it aligns participants with the universal principle that nourishment is sacred and should not be used as a tool for dominance. Kitchen workers and eaters both internalize respect for each other's rules. In practice, this creates a peaceful dining environment where volunteers feel honored, participants feel secure, and any past resentment gradually dissolves. Regular recitation turns meals into a unifying ritual rather than a political battlefield. Now, Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha. What is Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha and how does it apply to resolving food politics? Rather, the Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha means the act of offering, the offering itself, and the one to whom it is offered. All are Brahman. In Bhojanam Vidhi, this mantra is chanted while serving or receiving food, reminding everyone that food is divine and belongs to the spirit, not the individual's ego. In scenarios where political favoritism restricts access, this mantra helps dissolve the essence and the sense of ownership or power over food. It encourages equality, reverence, and detachment. The cook offers food without judgment and attachment. The teacher serves without judgment, and the participant receives without expectation. Practically, it fosters selfless service and mutual respect. For example, a volunteer previously denied meals may feel hurt, but chanting this mantra aligns their consciousness with the understanding that the act of feeding is sacred, not political. Over time, repeated practice of Brahmarpanam reduces conflicts, instills discipline, and reminds the community that food is a medium of divine connection, not power play. Now, Satyam Tvartena Parishami. How does Satyam Tvartena Parishami help in maintaining honesty and integrity in food service? Jayanda, thank you for joining us today. So, Satyam Tvartena Parishinchami. It can be interpreted as I purify and distribute food with truth and integrity. In daily life, even spiritual organizations face subtle corruption or bias in food distribution. This mantra is a vibrational tool for kitchen workers, volunteers, and teachers, ensuring that the act of serving is honest, fair, and transparent. When decided, it instills mindfulness and accountability, reducing tendencies to favor some participants over others. Practically, it aligns internal intentions with external actions. Cooks serve with sincerity, administrators distribute with fairness, and eaters accept without judgment. The cumulative effect is a transparent system where food related politics has little room to exist. Spiritually, it cultivates a higher consciousness that recognizes food as a shared resource and divine offering. Regular chanting during meal preparation or before serving ensures that everyone feels included, respected, and nourished both physically and emotionally. Now, Gayatri Mantra and Bhojanam Vidhi. Now, why is the Gayatri Mantra relevant before meals and how does it aid in reducing food conflicts? Rather, the Gayatri Mantra is Om Bhurbhuva Swaha, illuminating the mind, body, and soul, while traditionally a meditation mantra in Bhojanam Vidhi, it serves to raise the consciousness of both server and eater. Before meals, chanting Gayatri awakens awareness that food is sacred and consumption is an opportunity for spiritual nourishment, not a competitive privilege. In situations where food politics arise, such as some being denied meals due to influence, the mantra helps neutralize negative emotions like resentment or entitlement. Kitchen workers feel their service as a sacred duty. Participants approach food with gratitude, and teachers model fairness. Regular recitation creates a shared vibrational field of respect, mindfulness, and divine connection, transforming meals into rituals of unity rather than arenas of hierarchy. Over time, this practice reduces misunderstandings and encourages everyone to honor the spiritual and social ethics of food. Now, what does Om Pranaya Swaha mean and how does it help resolve food related issues in a service environment like an open program? Therefore, the mantra Om Pranaya Swaha literally means I offer Swaha to the prana, the life force, breathing energy. In the context of Bhojanam Vidhi within our spiritual organization, this mantra is chanted at the beginning of the meal offering or as the cooked food is served. By making this offering to the life energy, the preparation and distribution of food becomes an act of aligning with life itself, not favoritism or exclusion. The one preparing the food offers it first to the life principle, acknowledging that food supports life, and the one receiving it partakes mindful of that life force. In cases where cards or preferential access might cause politics, this mantra shifts the perspective. Access to food is tied to sustaining the universal life force, not to individual power. It sets a tone of equality, reminding all involved, the kitchen workers, volunteers, eaters, that they are participating in a sacred flow of nourishment. Over time, the habitual recitation of this mantra fosters respect, reduces a subtle power plays around who eats, when, or how, and replaces exclusion with inclusion because you are offering to the same prana for everyone. Now, Om Apanaya Swaha. How does the Om Apanaya Swaha support fairness and integrity in serving meals? There, the Om Apanaya Swaha means I offer to the Apana the downward vital energy that governs elimination, release, and letting go. In Bhojanam Vidhi, after food is prepared and before distribution, this mantra helps bring into awareness the release aspect of food digestion, assimilation, and elimination. More broadly, it invites letting go of unfair practices, hidden agendas, and the subtle holding back of food or denying access. In a scenario where a volunteer is forced to eat outside for many months due to political exclusion, invoking Om Apanaya Swaha shifts the internal field from holding on to grievance to releasing resentment. It encourages all to let go of the notion I must be denied or I will deny others and invites surrender. The food flows downward through structures of service, reaching everyone. Practically, when the kitchen team or the central HR or service authority recites this mantra, it reminds them food is not to be withheld, it flows down to nourish. This helps dissolve hierarchical gatekeeping and fosters a culture of open inclusion. Now, Om Vyanaya Swaha, what is the significance of Om Vyanaya Swaha and how can it prevent kitchen politics? Together, Om Vyanaya Swaha means I offer to Vyana, the vital energy that moves throughout and distributes in the body, coordinating all pranas. In a bhojanam vidhi context, this mantra symbolizes distribution and flow. Food is prepared and then it must flow distributed evenly without blockages, without favoritism. When there is hidden control about who gets a meal or cards represent who may eat, invoking Om Vyanaya Swaha helps the service team consciously honor the flow of nourishment throughout the entire community. It reminds the system that food is a moving stream, not a static privilege. In practice, before service begins, the teachers or kitchen lead mentally recites this mantra, sets the intention that every plate, every portion should move fairly and freely. This strengthens the culture where denying access or favoring some becomes an obstruction to Vyana, that is, to the natural flow of life. Over time, this helps eliminate small manipulations like cards or gatekeeping, because the mantra reinforces that distribution is sacred and must be unobstructed. Now, Om Udanaya Swaha. How does the Om Udanaya Swaha relate to service and inclusion in communal meals? Now, the Om Udanaya Swaha means I offer to Udana the upward vital energy that manages movement, speech, upliftment, and the upward flow of life energy. In a meal setting within a spiritual organization, this mantra elevates the act of eating and serving from the mundane to the sacred. Food isn't just fuel, it uplifts consciousness when there are acts of exclusion. Example, someone forced to eat outside. This mantra invites everyone, the kitchen, the volunteers, the eaters, to see that the act of sharing food uplifts not just the body but the collective consciousness. Practically, when recited before the meal begins, it helps participants remember I am receiving not out of privilege but as part of the upliftment. I am serving not from power but from elevation. This mindset helps reduce the politics of who sits where, because the focus shifts to how this meal uplifts all of us. It creates a more inclusive culture where the act of sitting together and sharing becomes a spiritual vehicle, reducing divisions. Now, Om Samanaya Swaha, what does role does Om Samanaya Swaha play in creating equality in food service? There, the Om Samanaya Swaha means I offer to Samana the vital energy that balances, assimilates, and integrates, especially digestive and transformative processes. In the Bhojanam Vidhi context, this mantra highlights assimilation not just of food, but of community, of care, and of equality. When this mantra is consciously used, the environment shifts from here are served and there are excluded to here all are assimilated and integrated. For example, if someone is being made to eat outside for months because of subtle political reasons, the community invoking of the Om Samanaya Swaha reminds itself that we must integrate all souls, workers, volunteers, devotees alike. On a daily level, the kitchen team reciting this mantra before service sets the intention. We digest not only food but difference. We digest not only service but the person. We assimilate all without fragmentation. Thus, divisions dissolve and food service becomes a process of integration and equality. Over time, this builds a culture of coexistence rather than competition. Now, what does the mantra Om Pranaya Swaha mean, and how can it be applied in a communal feeding scenario to avoid exclusion or favoritism? Therefore, the mantra Om Pranaya Swaha translates roughly as I offer to prana, the life energy Swaha, and oblation in the context of a communal meal, such as during a program run by the Art of Living Foundation. It can be used when serving or beginning the food distribution. By directing the offering to prana, we acknowledge that food is primarily for sustaining life in every human being, not for status or power. When kitchen staff, volunteers, or participants recite this mantra before distributing or consuming the food, it shifts the mindset from I am giving, receiving to life is being honored through this offering. This helps dissolve any political atmosphere where some are given privilege and some excluded. The mantra reminds all that their life energy matters equally. In practical terms, before service begins, the lead may say Om Pranaya Swaha, then serve with the awareness that this meal nourishes life equally. Over time, that habitual awareness reduces differential treatment because the mantra reinforces equality at the energetic level. Now, Om Apanaya Swaha. How does Om Apanaya Swaha help in creating fairness in food service and reducing hidden exclusions? The mantra Om Apanaya Swaha means I offer to Apana the downward flowing vital force Swaha. Apana in yogic physiology is associated with elimination, letting go, downward flow, symbolically also associated with releasing what is unnecessary or harmful. In a meal context, using this mantra helps remind everyone that food is not about holding on to privilege or control, but about distributing what is needed and letting go of power play. In service organizations, where some might feel I must be excluded or we deny this person food for whatever political reason, invoking apana via the mantra helps shift the inner vibration. The service team consciously lets go of the hesitation or gatekeeping, and participants feel the release of burden. Practically, the kitchen lead might recite this mantra when placing the plates, meaning this food goes outward, not exclusion, no withheld privilege. This helps reduce subtle manipulation, cars, restricted access, because the mantra sets the intention of downward flow and release of discrimination. Now, Om Vyanaya Swaha, in what way does Om Vyanaya Swaha assist in the smooth distribution of food and avoiding bottlenecks or favoritism? Now, the Om Vyanaya Swaha means I offer to Vyana the pervasive vital flow. Swaha, Vyana is the vital force which pervades, distributes, and connects all parts of the body. Analogy in food service distribution must be smooth, inclusive, connecting all. If in a spiritual center some people are systematically denied access to meals due to internal influence or politics, example cards or restricted seating, the mantra helps by aligning the consciousness of servers and eaters with the principle of a free unhindered flow. The kitchen or volunteers say this mantra before service, meaning this meal will flow to all, no blockage, no special privilege. Participants who may have felt excluded or less worthy also connect with the idea of flow rather than hierarchy. Over time, this builds a culture where food service is viewed as a network of nourishment rather than privilege. Thus, use of this mantra supports operational fairness and removes subtle infrastructure of exclusion. Now, Om Udanaya Swaha. How is Om Udanaya Swaha relevant to uplifting the communal meal experience and reducing status based divisions? Now, the mantra Om Udanaya Swaha means I offer to Udana the upward moving vital force. Swaha. Udana is the energy of upliftment, speech, elevation. In a meal within a spiritual organization, this mantra invites the act of eating and serving to be elevated above mundane hierarchy. If there has been politics around who may or may not sit at the table, this mantra helps realign the field. The serving and receiving become an act of upliftment for both server and eater. For example, before the meal starts, the teacher or lead might say Om Udanaya Swaha to symbolize may everyone who eats here be uplifted. May the service elevate all, not elevate some at the cost of others. This reduces the atmosphere of I am higher, you are lower around meals because the mantra points to elevation of consciousness, not elevation of status. Over time, participants and volunteers carry this subtle vibration into how they sit, how they eat, and how they serve, thus mitigating divisions. Now, Om Samanaya Swaha. Why is Om Samanaya Swaha important for equality at shared meals, and how does it help service teams avoid discrimination? Therefore, the mantra Om Samanaya Swaha means I offer to Samana, the integrating, equalizing vital force Swaha. Samana circulates and assimilates. It's about integration and balance within a communal feeding environment. This mantra serves as a powerful tool to ensure that no individual is left out, no plate is held back due to favoritism, no one is treated as less than. The service team reciting Om Samanaya Swaha before and while distributing meals sets the intention the nourishment is for all. We integrate all persons equally, no distinction. For volunteers or participants who might feel discriminated, such as someone forced to eat outside for months, hearing or feeling this mantra repeatedly creates a feel of equality and reconciliation. Practically, during seating, serving, eating, the mantra's vibration supports inclusive posture. All are invited, all are honored equally. Over time, such consistent intention shifts culture from exclusive privilege to inclusive nourishment. Now, Om Ahutani Pranaya Swaha. Om Ahutani Pranaya Swaha. What does the mantra Om Ahutani Pranaya Swaha signify in the ritual of communal meals, and how can it help reduce exclusion in food service? If the mantra Om Ahutani Pranaya Swaha literally means Om to the life force of prana, we offer the oblations or Ahutani Swaha. It emphasizes the offering of food energy to the vital principle of life rather than to an individual. In a communal context, such as in a spiritual organization where food politics might lead to certain individuals being excluded, the recitation of this mantra helps shift the understanding from this meal is for the privileged or this meal is an offering to life for all lives. When kitchen workers or servers recite this before serving, they implicitly declare this portion is not my favoritism, it is an offering to prana, equally for everyone. This fosters an egalitarian mindset. On the receiving end, when participants know that the food has been offered to life itself, the dynamic of exclusion, example, cars or restricted access, loses its underlying justification. Over time, the habitual use of the mantra builds a culture of nourishment as universal, reducing power plays and helping bridge divides. Now, Om Ahutani Apanaya Swaha, Om Ahutani Apanaya Swaha. How does this mantra of Om Ahutani Apanaya Swaha function in the setting of food distribution, and how can it mitigate bias or discrimination in meal access? Regularly, the mantra Om Ahutani Apanaya Swaha translates to Om to the downward flowing vital force. Apana, we offer the oblation Swaha. Apana in yogic physiology represents the downward elimination and release processes. When applied to meals, it symbolizes the releases of restrictions, the letting go of control or withholding. In organizations where food access has been used as a tool of control or influence, reciting this mantra signifies we release any gatekeeping, we let the nourishment flow downward to every needy person. When kitchen leads or volunteers consciously recite this, they set an intention of release of bias, release of power structures, release of exclusion. Participants to feel the right to receive rather than being denied. In practical terms, before distributing the food, a brief invocation of this mantra helps reset the internal culture of access. By doing so regularly, the mantra acts like a vibrational reset for fairness, making hidden discrimination less likely and promoting inclusive service. Now, Om Ahutani Vyanaya Swaha, Om Ahutani Vyanaya Swaha. In what way does the mantra Om Ahutani Vyanaya Swaha support equitable distribution of meals and prevent bottlenecking of or favoritism? Yes, Jai Gurudev, the mantra Om Ahutani Vyanaya Swaha means Om to the pervasive distributing vital force Vyana. We offer the oblation Swaha. Vyana is responsible for circulation and spreading of energy in all directions. Applied to a meal setting, this suggests the idea that nourishment must flow freely and evenly throughout the group. No bottlenecks, no first class, second class treatment. When this mantra is invoked before meal service, it sets the inner intention of circulation. Let this meal reach every plate, every person. Let no one be advantaged or disadvantaged. Kitchen staff and distribution volunteers, hearing or requesting the invocation, are reminded that their role is to enable free flow rather than enforce gatekeeping. Participants who may have felt sidelined recognize the underlying intention of fairness. Over time, the mantra becomes a practical tool in reducing favoritism because the energy of equal distribution is being repeatedly invoked. The culture shifts from one of control to one of flow and equality. Now, how does Om Ahutani Udanaya Swaha enhance the sense of upliftment and shared purpose during communal meals? And how can it reduce hierarchies? Here, the mantra Om Ahutani Udanaya Swaha translates to Om to the upward moving vital force or Udana. We offer the oblations of Swaha. Udana is associated with upliftment, elevation, speech, upward movement of life energy. In the context of a spiritual organization's communal meal, this mantra helps transform the meal from a mundane act into a shared upliftment, a communal spiritual experience. When the mantra is recited, the mood shifts. It becomes less about who sits where and more about our collective upliftment through nourishment. This helps reduce status based divisions, example, certain people being higher or lower deserving of the meal because the focus becomes the upliftment for everyone. Practically, before the meal starts, a teacher or senior volunteer might quietly invoke this mantra so that everyone present, servers, eaters, external workers, feels part of a shared integral process and purpose. By regularly doing this, this internal hierarchy softens and the meal becomes a vehicle for collective growth rather than a manifestation of exclusivity. Now, what is the significance of Om Ahutani Samanaya Swaha, and how does it specifically support integration and equality in communal eating settings? The mantra Om Ahutani Samanaya Swaha means Om to the assimilating, integrating vital force. Samana, we offer the oblation Swaha. Samana is the energy that assimilates, balances, and integrates all parts of the system. In the realm of meals within a spiritual community, this mantra emphasizes that food is not just distributed but assimilated in a way that includes everyone, the servers, the eaters, the volunteers, external staff, into one integrated whole. It counters division us versus them and promotes we are one eating community. When regularly used, this mantra helps ground a practice that no one is outside, no one is less privileged with regard to the meal. In scenarios where someone was excluded, forced to eat outside for months, reciting this mantra helps bring them back into the fold not just physically but emotionally and energetically. Practically, after the meal or during seating, one might silently reflect on this mantra, inviting integration of every person at the table. Over time, the culture of cards or who gets invited loses its strength because the vibration of integration becomes dominant. Now, Om Brahmane Swaha, Om Brahmane Swaha. What is the meaning of the mantra Om Brahmane Swaha, and how does it apply in the context of communal meals and resolving exclusion? Now, the mantra Om Brahmane Swaha means Om, an oblation of Swaha to Brahman or Brahmane. In the ritual setting of meals of bhojanam vidhi, this mantra is used at a point where one offers food in the inner sense to the ultimate reality, the Brahman. The technique helps shift the mindset from this plate is for this privileged person to this offering is to the highest reality, and therefore all participants are equal. When kitchen staff or program organizers silently or aloud invoke Om Brahmane Swaha before serving or while placing the dishes, it reminds everyone the act is not about control or discrimination but about offering to the divine, which pervades all in practical terms. If someone is being denied access, the presence of this mantra in the meal ritual helps create an internal check. How can we deny when the offering is to Brahman for all? Over time, this encourages inclusive behavior and softens gatekeeping around food. Now, Annam Brahma Asi, how can the invocation of Annam Brahma Asi be used to foster fairness and reduce politics around food? The phrase Annam Brahma Asi means food is Brahman, the absolute. According to the article on meal mantras, Annam Brahma Rasam Vishnum Bhokto Devo Janardhanam emphasizes that food itself is divine. In a communal eating setting, such as a large spiritual center or course like an Upanayana program by the Art of Living Foundation or Vedic Dhamma Sansthan, when the mantra Annam Brahma is consciously used, spoken, or mentally acknowledged before food is served, it reminds everyone that the food is not a tool of privilege but a sacred medium for kitchen workers. It means their task is holy and for all. For participants, it removes the mindset of I must fight or earn this plate. When someone is excluded from meals, repeating or recalling the Annam Brahma Asi helps the community remember that the plate no longer belongs to a few, it belongs to the divine embodied in every person. This awareness helps dismantle unseen walls of favoritism or exclusion. Now, Om Amrita Pidhanam Asi Swaha. Amrata Pidhanam Asi Swaha. So, what does the mantra Om Amrata Pidha Namasi Swaha mean, and how can it help rectify divisions created through food politics? The mantra Om Amrata Pidha Namasi Swaha translates roughly to Om, you are the abode of immortality, the Amrata Apadidhanam Swaha. Offering this, though less commonly cited in popular sources, it appears in certain Bhojanam Vidhi texts as a reference in blogs and PDFs as a concluding mantra after meals. In the context of food distribution and fairness, this mantra helps elevate the understanding of eating beyond mere physical sustenance. It frames food as a nourishment of the immortal principle. Practically, this helps reduce politics because when participants, servers, or organizers remember that this meal mediates the immortal within me, then denying or controlling access becomes less tenable. The mantra fosters humility. Kitchen workers, serving participants, receiving all partake in something greater than a social hierarchy. Over time, the use of this mantra reorients the meal culture from who gets invited to who gets uplifted. Now, Om Sahnavatu Sahno Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahe Om Shanti Shanti. How does this universal mantra of Om Sahana Bhavatu be applied before meals to help create a communal harmony and reduce exclusionary practices around food? Jagada, the mantra Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavidveshavahe Om Shanti Shantihi means may we both teacher and student participants be protected, may we both enjoy, may we together carry out our efforts with vigor, may our study be illuminating, may we not hate each other. Om peace, peace, peace. Although traditionally used at the start of a teaching session, when applied to meal settings, it serves beautifully for inclusive intention before a communal meal. If the teacher or lead recites this or invites everyone to mentally reflect on it, the atmosphere shifts. We eat together, we nourish together, we uplift together, we do not hate each other. In a scenario where some persons are forced out of the central dining due to internal politics, applying this mantra reminds the entire group that the meal is a shared endeavor of protection, nourishment, and shared upliftment, not a reward for some and denial for others. Regular use builds a collective sense of unity around meals and helps reduce exclusion. Now, Annam Brahma Rasam Vishnum Bhokta Devo Janardanam. So Annam Brahma Rasam Vishnum Bhokta Devo Janardanam. How can this mantra of Annam Brahman Rasam Vishnum Bhokta Devo Janardanam be used to transform meal culture and mitigate food power dynamics? Jagadavyas Annam Brahma Rasam Vishnum Bhokto Devo Janardanam Evam Dhyatva Tatha Gyatva Anna Doshana Lipyate. Means Jagadav, food is Brahman, the essence Rasa is Vishnu, the eater, the Bhukta is the Lord Janardana. Thus, contemplating this, knowing this, the impurity of food does not cling. In the context of communal meals in an organization, this mantra helps by sanctifying the food itself, reminding everyone that they are divine participants and reducing fear of contamination or of exclusion because the divine is present in all of us. Practically, when participants recite or mentally remember this mantra before eating, it helps them internalize I am not lesser, this plate is not withheld as favor. The divine in me receives this, the divine in you serves. For an organization where someone was denied access for months, repeating this mantra consciously creates a shift in the collective vibration. The dynamics move from you are lesser to we are equally divine. Over time, such repeated awareness supports a more inclusive meal environment and reduces the underlying power play around food distribution. Now, Annadatta Sukhi Bhava, how does and what does the Annadatta Sukhi Bhava mean, and how does it help reduce food related politics in spiritual organizations? Negative, the phrase Annadatta Sukhibhava translates to may the provider of food be happy. In communal meal settings such as those in open INM programs, this mantra of blessing fosters gratitude and awareness when kitchen staff, volunteers, and organizers internalize this mantra. It reminds them that preparing and serving food is a sacred responsibility. By acknowledging the provider's happiness as central, the act of food service becomes a source of joy rather than control or exclusion. For example, when someone is denied access due to internal politics, example cards determining who may eat, the repetition or remembrance of this blessing encourages the team to focus on nourishing all participants equally, honoring their essential rights. Over time, this practice instills a culture where serving food is recognized as a selfless act, reducing the likelihood of manipulations and creating an environment of fairness, gratitude, and spiritual awareness. Now, Om Sahana Bhavatu Om Shanti Shanti. How does this universal peace mantra recited before meals help in mitigating hierarchical food politics? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahno Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti. He means may we both the teacher and student, the provider and the recipient be protected. May we enjoy together. May we work together with vigor. May our learning be enlightened. May we not hate each other. The peace, peace, peace. In a meal setting, reciting this mantra before serving or eating reminds everyone that meals are shared experiences, not status symbols. It discourages divisions and subtle political control, like denying access to certain individuals, because the focus becomes collective protection, nourishment, and harmony. When staff and participants recite it, it aligns the group's consciousness toward inclusivity, equality, and peace, transforming a potentially political scenario into one of mutual respect and shared well being. Now, Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha. What is the significance of Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha in meal rituals and reducing food exclusion? Now, the mantra Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha Brahma Ganao Brahmana Hutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. translates as the act of offering is Brahman, the oblation is Brahman, it is offered by Brahman into the fire of Brahman. Brahman alone is to be reached by him who sees Brahman in action. In the context of Upanayana meals, it transforms the act of serving and receiving food into an offering to the ultimate consciousness, not to a person or position. This awareness discourages manipulation like favoritism or denial of meals because the act is no longer about power but about spiritual offering. Every participant, the kitchen worker, volunteer, eater, is connected through the sacred act, reducing politics and fostering an atmosphere of shared responsibility, respect, and spiritual integration. Now, Satyam Tvartena Parishichanchami. How does Satyen Tvartena Parishichanchami help maintain integrity in food service? Therefore, the mantra Satyam Tvartena Parishinchami roughly translates to I purify the offering with truth and sincerity. In communal meals, it reinforces integrity in preparation, cooking, and serving. Kitchen workers, volunteers, or administrators reciting it commit to fairness and honesty, reducing manipulations such as withholding portions or denying access. By consciously invoking truth during the meal ritual, the entire food process becomes transparent and respected. Participants feel assured of impartiality, and the culture of exclusion is replaced by collective responsibility, reducing stress, resentment, or conflict. Now, the Gayatri Mantra before meals. How does reciting the Gayatri Mantra before meals influence the energy of nourishment and fairness? Either the Om Bhurбhuva Swaha Tatatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat invites the universal light and intelligence into the environment. When recited before meals, it elevates the act of eating into a conscious practice of receiving divine energy. In communal settings where political manipulation around food exists, invoking Gayatri creates mindfulness, reducing unconscious biases. Everyone, the cook, the server, and eater, aligns with the principle that nourishment is sacred, available to all, not a privilege of status. This fosters an atmosphere of equality, respect, and harmony during meals. Now, Amrato Pastaranam Asiswaha. What is the role of Amrato Pastaranam Asiswaha in Upanayana meals rituals? The meal Amrato Pastaranam Asiswaha is an offering of the immortal essence or Amrita present in food. When recited before consuming or serving meals, it reminds participants that that nourishment is for sustaining the divine life principle in everyone. This shifts focus from control or exclusion to spiritual upliftment and fulfillment. Any attempt to deny food due to internal politics is mitigated as the emphasis becomes honoring the divine in each participant. The practice cultivates gratitude, equality, and respect for the fundamental right to nourishment. Now, the pranaya swaha, how does reciting Om Pranaya Swaha affect a communal meal harmony? Now, the Om Pranaya Swaha is an offering to prana, the vital life force. In a meal context, it sanctifies the food and reminds everyone that nourishment supports life equally. Kitchen staff and participants reciting it cultivate awareness that food is for sustaining energy, not for exercising power or control. By aligning the intention to life itself, the mantra reduces politics and encourages fair distribution, ensuring that no one is unjustly excluded. Now, Apanaya Swaha, what impact does Apanaya Swaha have on food related conflict? Like that, this mantra is an offering to Apana, the downward flowing a vital energy representing release. It means it symbolically releases restrictions and control over food access. Reciting helps dissolve subtle political manipulations like restricting plates or seating. Participants internalize fairness and kitchen staff cultivate impartiality. The result is smoother, inclusive food service, reducing stress and resentment among volunteers and eaters. Now, the Vyanaya Swaha, how does Om Vyanaya Swaha help distribute food equitably? Yeah, the Vyana is the energy of circulation. Offering food to Vyana through this mantra ensures free flow of nourishment, preventing bottlenecks or favoritism. Kitchen teams consciously distribute meals to all, regardless of status, while eaters internalize the principle of equitable sharing. Over time, repeated use creates a culture of inclusivity and fairness. Now, the Udanaya Swaha, how can Udanaya Swaha elevate communal eating experience? Therefore, Udana represents upliftment. Offering food to this mantra raises the act of serving and eating from mundane to spiritual. It diminishes status-based hierarchies as all participants partakes in a collective upliftment. In situations where someone has been excluded, regular recitation fosters inclusion, respect, and consciousness that meals are spiritual opportunities, not tools of political leverage. Now, the Samanaya Swaha. How does Om Samanaya Swaha promote equality during meals? The mantra Om Samanaya Swaha is an offering to Samana, the vital force responsible for balance and assimilation. In the context of communal meals, reciting this mantra reminds servers and participants that nourishment should be evenly distributed. It counteracts exclusion or favoritism because the energy invoked emphasizes integration rather than hierarchy. Kitchen staff internalize that each plate, each person deserves equal attention. Participants feel that the meal belongs to all, not just a select few. For someone previously denied access, this mantra creates an inclusive energy, allowing them to feel equally valued. Over time, habitual use fosters fairness, balance, and respect in meal service. Now, the Brahmane Swaha, what is the purpose of Om Brahmane Swaha in Bhojanam Vidhi? The mantra Om Brahmane Swaha is an offering to Brahman, the supreme consciousness. During meals, it sanctifies food and reminds everyone that the act of eating is ultimately a spiritual offering, not a social competition. By focusing on the divine principle, it reduces politics around who gets invited or denied. Kitchen staff, volunteers, and participants internalize that food is a sacred medium for honoring life, helping dissolve tendencies to control or exclude others. Over time, the mantra fosters a shared sense of purpose, making mealtime inclusive and spiritually uplifting. Now, Amritapi Dhanamasi Swaha. How does Om Amritapi Dhanamasi Swaha transform the energy of meals? Jagadav, Amritapi Dhanamasi Swaha can be translated as offering to the immortal essence in the food. It reminds participants and servers that nourishment is sacred, life sustaining, and beyond material control. This mindset reduces manipulation, favoritism, or exclusion in meals. When recited before serving, the mantra creates an atmosphere where everyone feels valued and part of a collective spiritual experience. It cultivates gratitude and respect, dissolving tensions or hidden politics associated with food distribution. Now, Satyam Tvartena Parishinchami. How does Satyam Tvartena Parishinchami enhance integrity in meal service? Now, the mantra means I purify this offering with truth and sincerity. In practice, it reminds kitchen staff, volunteers, and participants that honesty and fairness must guide the preparation and distribution of food. Any bias, favoritism, or denial due to internal politics is neutralized by consciously invoking truth. The mantra aligns the energy of the meal with sincerity and integrity, fostering trust and reducing conflicts. Participants feel secure and respected, contributing to an inclusive, harmonious dining environment. Now, the Gayatri Mantra, why is reciting the Gayatri Mantra before meals beneficial? Now, the Gayatri Mantra, Om Bhurбhuva Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Prachodayat, brings divine light and consciousness into the meal environment. Reciting it before eating elevates the act from mundane to sacred, fostering mindfulness and equality. In situations where some participants may be excluded due to politics, the mantra shifts focus to spiritual nourishment. Everyone, the servers, the eaters, the volunteers, aligns with the principle of universal energy. It transforms meal into conscious acts of gratitude and equality, reducing subtle power dynamics and promoting collective harmony. Now, the pranaya swaha. How does Om Pranaya Swaha impact mealtime inclusivity? Now, the Om Pranaya Swaha is an offering to prana, the life force. It sanctifies the food as life sustaining energy, not as tool for social privilege. Kitchen staff and participants who recite it cultivates awareness that nourishment serves all equally. The mantra diminishes the food related politics, ensuring fair access. Participants feel respected and valued, promoting harmony. Repeated use of the mantra establishes a collective consciousness that meals are for life, not hierarchy. Now, the Apanaya Swaha, how does Om Apanaya Swaha help resolve exclusion in communal dining? The mantra is offered to Apana, the downward flowing energy representing release. In meal distribution, it symbolically releases control, favoritism, or denial. Kitchen staff consciously let go of gatekeeping, and participants internalize the fairness. Someone previously excluded benefits from the inclusive energy generated. It cultivates impartiality, transparency, and smooth meal operations. Over time, repeated recitation helps normalize equitable access for all, reducing hidden political manipulations. Now, the Vyanaya Swaha, what role does the Om Vyanaya Swaha play in equitable food distribution? Jagadev, Vyana is the energy of circulation. Offering meals to Vyana ensures nourishment flows freely and evenly to all participants. Reciting this mantra reminds kitchen staff and servers to distribute food without favoritism. It also fosters awareness among participants to receive with gratitude. The energy created by the mantra reduces bottlenecks, dissolves exclusionary practices, and promotes smooth, harmonious, and fair meal experiences. Now, the Udanaya Swaha, how does the Om Udanaya Swaha elevate communal meal experiences? Udana represents the upward moving energy and upliftment. Offering food to Udana transforms the act of serving and eating from routine to sacred. It diminishes hierarchical thinking and social divisions, fostering collective upliftment. Even participants previously denied access experience inclusion and spiritual elevation. Repeated invocation enhances respect, consciousness, and mindfulness, making meals a medium for shared spiritual growth rather than a source of politics or conflict. Now, the Samanaya Swaha, why is Om Samanaya Swaha important for creating a culture of equality in meals? The Samana is the energy that integrates and balances. Offering meals to Samana emphasizes inclusion and equality. It reminds servers, volunteers, and participants that nourishment is meant for all, not a select few. In contexts where food politics exist, the mantra helps neutralize favoritism, ensuring smooth and fair meal distribution. Participants internalize a sense of collective well being, fostering harmony, gratitude, and fairness in daily meal practices. Now, Jagadatta, the Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha, how does the Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha transform the act of serving food into a spiritual practice? That the Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha Brahmagno Brahmana Nutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhana means that the act of food, offering food is Brahman, the oblation is Brahman, offered by Brahman into the fire of Brahman in a communal meal. This awareness dissolves hierarchical politics because serving or receiving food is no longer about power or privilege. It becomes a sacred act connecting all participants. Kitchen staff internalize that each plate is a spiritual offering, not a tool of control. Participants aware of this principle see that exclusion contradicts the mantra. The practice nurtures respect, humility, and inclusivity, ensuring that meals are shared as a spiritual responsibility rather than a competitive or political act. Now, the Annam Brahma Asi, how can the Annam Brahma Asi reduce exclusion in meal distribution? Then the Annam Brahmasi translates as food is Brahman. This principle reminds everyone that nourishment is sacred and universal. In situations where access to meals is politically manipulated, invoking this mantra emphasizes that food is not a privilege, it is a divine right. Kitchen workers, volunteers, and participants cultivate respect for everyone's basic needs. By internalizing that food is Brahman, attempts at exclusion or favoritism are naturally countered. It promotes fairness, gratitude, and spiritual awareness, turning the meal into an inclusive and sacred experience. Now, Om Amrato Pastaranam Asi Swaha. How does Om Amrato Pastaranam Asi Swaha elevate the consciousness of meals? This mantra means offering to the immortal essence in the food. By reciting it, participants and servers recognize that food nourishes not just the body, but the life force and consciousness within. When meals are distributed, this mantra encourages impartiality and gratitude, preventing politics like selective access. It helps integrate everyone, the volunteers, staff, and eaters, into a shared spiritual activity. It transforms meals from mundane sustenance into sacred nourishment, fostering equality with respect. Now, the Gayatri Mantra before meals. How does the Gayatri Mantra influence communal meal harmony? Om Bhurбhuva Swaha Tatsviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasati Mehdiyo Na Prachodayat invites universal light and wisdom. Reciting it before meals elevates eating into a conscious, mindful act. It reduces hierarchical thinking and food politics, reminding all participants, the servers, volunteers, and eaters that nourishment is sacred and available to all. The mantra cultivates mindfulness, equality, and gratitude, and creating an environment where meals are inclusive and spiritually enriching. Now, the pranaya swaha, how does offering food to prana with Om pranaya swaha impact inclusivity? Now, the prana is a vital life force. By offering meats to prana, the act of eating is transformed into sustaining life rather than exercising control. The kitchen staff, volunteers, and participants focus on nourishing everyone equally. The mantra reduces favoritism or exclusion because food becomes a medium of life energy for all. It fosters equality, mindfulness, and spiritual consciousness in day to day meal practices. Now, the Apanaya Swaha, how does Apanaya Swaha help release biases during meal service? Now, the apana governs downward moving energies and release. Reciting this mantra during meal preparation or serving symbolically releases control, favoritism, or denial. Kitchen staff internalize impartiality and participants experience equal access. For those previously excluded, the mantra creates an inclusive energy field. It promotes fairness, transparency, and reduces hidden political manipulations in communal dining. Yeah, good day.